Hello, ladies and gentlemen, everything in between and those beyond the cosmic gate that is the abyss. You're listening to the Forsaken Broadcast. Here joining me is Scarlet and Dan.
Hello.
You know, you kind of took part of my cosmic abomination things, and now I'm pretty sure that I have to eviscerate you now.
Just do it slowly.
Oh yeah.
Speaking of being eviscerated.
Everything out.
Speaking of being eviscerated.
I swear.
Anyway, third time.
Speaking of
being
scares.
Oh my God, Daniel! Shut up! Jesus! Speaking of being eviscerated slowly for the fourth time, we're going to be talking about horror today. Talk about scary.
Oh, that was my fuel for life.
Anyway, we're going to be talking... Sorry for yelling at you, Daniel. It's just like, Jesus, every time.
It's cool.
But we're going to be talking about horror today, and not horror games exclusively. I mean, if that is your jam, like if that's the only way you enjoy horror, awesome. Oh shit, my butt.
Or if it's the only way that gets your goat.
Yeah, I mean, it's immersive horror.
But yeah,
that's scary shit. But we're not talking exclusively about video game horror. Any forms of horror, you know, if you're into books and reading horror books, awesome. If you like movies, awesome. Anything at all. Any way you like to get your horror kicks, your scare giblies. We definitely hear about it in the comments. And,
oh my gosh, yes.
and we're going to be talking about how we like to get our horror giblies jangled. I don't know what any of that means, but
I think we all know exactly.
It seems only fitting that we're fighting giant spiders and we're talking about scary stuff.
We're going to be fighting a large spider. We're going to be fighting probably a couple large spiders if this goes well.
Savages, alligator spiders.
Oh my.
No.
All the stuff that...
You have not seen yet, Daniel.
Oh God.
But you will. You will see.
The darkness.
Do I want to see though? Do I though?
I don't think I give a shit whether you want to or not. That's what we're facing.
I don't think these spiders give a shit.
No, they don't.
Super lag. There we go. So yeah, we're gonna be fighting some large spiders. Talking about what jingles are jambles. I couldn't remember what I said. And
Jingle your jammies.
Jingles my jammies.
Jingles the giblets.
Jingles my gibbles. So,
Jiggles the giblets. There we go.
So, Scarlet, let's start with you.
Alright. Well, first of all, the horror genre as a whole is probably one of my favorite genres of any kind of media. Be it movies, books, video games. I eat that shit up for breakfast. I love it. Mm-hmm. That being said, in previous episodes I may have mentioned that I am a fan of H.P. Lovecraft's work. I'm not getting into how much I dislike the author, but his work and the groundwork that it laid for horror as a whole, the concepts of cosmic horror because of a lack of understanding, you know. Mm-hmm. Scary shit. But when it comes to horror as a whole, one of my favorite types of horror is body horror.
Ooh.
Which is very popular with in stylizations of like Junji Ito. A lot of 80s and early 90s horror movies relied heavily on body horror because of like the new developments in movies, like visual special effects that they were able to pull off.
Right.
Things like that.
Like The Fly.
like there's just something about body horror to me that's like primal and unsettling. Someone's going after the biggin.
Oh.
They're just going ham. Anyways, so body horror would have to be one of my top favorites. A close second.
Oh, let's back up. Let's back up. Let's back up. Get it out of the wall. Back it up.
If I can just chime in real quick, I know what really scaring me. This goddamn spider.
If you're not even in there fighting it.
I was. I saw that looking at me with its big black beady eyes.
I love it.
Quit staring at me with
I
those
love
big
spiders,
old
by the way.
eyes.
Spiders are one of my favorite types of fauna. But another type of horror that I really enjoy and it doesn't get enough recognition, I feel like, is psychological horror.
Yes.
The concept of, like, not even, like, supernatural things. Like, the horror of things that could really feasibly happen.
Yep.
And, like, the idea that you just don't know what the fuck is going on, or there's, like, the spider's moving around the screen weird for me, I'm sorry.
Yeah, that was weird. I saw that too.
Okay, it's not just me.
Not just
Yeah,
you.
he's glitching on my screen too.
Well, I mean, he's getting his ass kicked, so...
I have to agree with the psychological thing. That's probably,
So do I.
would have to say, my favorite brand of
Horror.
horror. Mainly because... Oh, we're going to need that key. Mainly because I love the stories that are like, you think you're following the good guy, and then, oh, he's the real monster? Like, that's the bad guy? That's the one that's been doing all this bad stuff? Or not realizing that he's the bad stuff? Got a mace. Legendary mace. Check that out later. But, yeah, I love that. Where like, I mean, one of them is like, what's that Leonardo DiCaprio one? Shutter Island.
Oh, God, Shutter Island was so good.
Yeah, like, that was so cool. Where you're like, holy shit, this whole time, everybody was in on it. Like, because he was just so far gone. Like,
Man.
crazy. Spoilers, I guess, for anyone who hasn't watched Shutter Island.
Still watch it.
Still watch it, though. I mean, holy God. It's such a good movie. But, I mean, like, there's other stuff. Like, I like it when they do it in video games. I think one of my favorite... I wouldn't say it is a psychological horror, but they touched upon the psychological horror stuff in the game Fear.
Yeah.
Where...
I mean, go figure.
Yeah. But I mean, like, where, like, there's like those scenarios that you go through, and, you know, it's like you're going through a hallucination, and you come out of it, and then you realize that you killed everything in the room, or that was you going through the actual area that you're in, but you were seeing it completely different.
Yeah.
Like those...
I think that's
Go
not
ahead.
done enough.
It's not done enough.
Granted, I don't want it to get done a whole lot more, because then it'll get overdone.
Yeah. Like, one game I really want to see, because I'm pretty sure it is super psychological horror, or at least has that touches, is that Senua's Blade.
Senua's Blade.
Hellblade.
There's Senua's Sacrifice.
Senua's Sacrifice Hellblade, yeah. Because, I mean, like, I know a lot about the game, I just haven't played it. Which I know, crime against humanity. But the fact that it's like, you know, the main character has schizophrenia, and you have to deal with, like, all that stuff, and it's not even like Hollywood schizophrenia, it's supposed to be like real real life
Oh, it's
kind
fucking
of schizophrenia.
terrifying.
Yeah,
It's
like
great because, I mean, it's great, air quotes. The portrayal's nice because, like, the entire time you have, like, it's really great if you play with either surround sound or headphones
hmm
because you literally just, it's almost non-stop where there's going to be points where you're just kind of doing a thing and then you'll start hearing whispers, like, on the edge of your hearing. It's like constantly either putting you down or telling you how much of a failure you are, or everything that's happened up to that point is your fault, and it's fucking soul crushing. And I've had a friend who
excuse me.
did have schizophrenia, and I understand that mental disorders are unique to the individual. But from what I understand, like, everything in that game was actually very close to whenever he was having a schizophrenic episode. So it's really interesting that they captured something that visceral. You know what I mean?
Yeah, one thing I would really like to see, and I doubt they'll do it a whole lot in Cyberpunk, but is to see how like psychological horror with technology is, because a game that I really really dug was Soma.
Oh yeah, I still need to play through all of that.
Did you ever see that game, Dan?
No, I haven't.
Dude, Markiplier played that game. Shout out to Markiplier. Markiplier played that game, and he did like a full playthrough of it. And you like Markiplier, right? I'm pretty sure you've watched him.
Well, yeah. Yeah.
You should definitely look up his playthrough of it. It's awesome.
It's good. It's really good.
Yeah, the game is so cool.
Where is
Hell
that
yeah.
spider at?
Thought it was around.
Well, we killed one earlier.
Yeah, but there's
Oh, no,
another.
there's
Yeah, there's another one around here.
Wasn't it in the area with like scorpions and stuff?
There's that one, but then there's also another one like around here. Like me and Scarlet ran into it accidentally.
Oh, okay.
Scared
Maybe.
the fuck out of both of us.
Yeah,
I feel like we passed it.
I feel like we did too. I don't know. Let's go for the other one, and then we'll come back
Because
this
it was
way.
like, no, it's around here because it was hiding in like a giant grass patch. I remember that because we didn't even see it at first until like we almost engaged with it.
Yeah. What about you, Dan? What kind of horrors tickle you the wrong and right way?
Well, I think it was pretty obvious that giant spiders kind of really, get under my skin. It's just something big, hairy, and alien-like coming at me full force. That scares me. But if I want to be serious for a second, I feel like the horror that really gets to me, like I'm with you both, like psychological horror, the deteriorating of the human mind. Where you can actually take like a normal human being and then stuff happens to them to make them just go psychotic or just they lose sense of what's actually happening, and that's stuff that can really happen in real life. That scares me the most.
That's probably why it is the most frightening. It's because it is the most real. Like, yes, scary zombies and monsters in the night. That's scary if they're real.
That stuff does scare people, Like, of course, like if tomorrow, just God forbid, we had all the creatures of the night. You have werewolves and zombies and vampires and mummies just coming out and killing people. Yeah, that shit's scary. That would scare the living crap out of me because, oh fuck, these things are real. So yeah, of course those are going to be like, that's going to be scary as hell. But, they're fantasy creatures. They're designed to be just primal fears that we all have. So that's why they're not as scary anymore. Same thing with, well, I don't want to go too far about this, but like the serial killers like Jason, Freddy, Michael Myers.
Slasher.
Slasher
Villain.
films, yeah, like those are horror movies, but they're more of like I
It's body horror.
appreciate them. Yeah,
That's just like body horror.
yeah.
Because
But
it's highlighting like the damage that they're doing and also like the damage that they're sustaining. Because
mhm.
those villains all have the common trope of like nothing you do actually stops them. So like the horror of seeing someone take catastrophic damage and still coming after you, like
Yeah, and not only that, but they're. Uh, I feel like the most scary when it comes to serial killers are the ones that are the most cunning, the smartest, the most intelligent ones. You know,
Mhm.
uh, so any guy that just comes at you with a blade, that's terrifying. But it's more terrifying than the ones who appear the most normal. So that's why you have people like Ed Gaines and Jeffrey Dahmer and Ted Bundy and John Wayne Gacy. They're way scarier than anything Freddy Krueger has done.
They're way scarier
Unless
because
they
they're
start
real.
going into dreams. Then we're fucked.
But they're way scarier because they're real. And I think
Exactly.
that's one thing that I wonder if that's one thing that's really changed for the horror genre is we've been desensitized to a lot, but
Hmm.
the real shit, like the things that could actually happen, still scary because
Yep.
it could happen. It's real.
Yeah.
the
It's not
potential
like
reality is what's
it's not like
frightening.
a zombie movie that's like, oh, they realistically made a virus that would make zombies. It's like, yeah, but it's not real still. It's still sci-fi. But
Yeah.
this person who actually did murder people and like turn their skin into his lampposts, that's real. That's a real person. That really existed. And if one person thought of that, hundreds of others have.
Yeah. So yeah, I like my horror with just a little bit of that psychoticness.
Well, the reality, the real, the horror that could be based in reality is the true terror, in my opinion. But
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
I like the sci-fi monsters too. Like, admittedly, whenever I was a kid, I used to be terrified of zombies. I always thought zombies were probably the scariest thing ever. So, like,
Oh, dude, the first time as a kid I played Resident Evil, that first cutscene with the first zombie, everyone knows what that cutscene is. I literally turned the game off and cried.
yeah,
Um,
I was watching my dad play it, and that happened, and yeah, I ran out the room crying, like I was just
Oh, by the way,
screaming and running out.
I have lost you guys. I have no idea where anyone is.
We can't find that spider, so we'll come
oh,
back to this
damn,
area.
you are literally going the opposite direction.
Well, David was literally
You know
on
how
my
to use the
screen
map,
and then he
right?
disappeared, so I have no idea what happened.
Yeah, you know how to
You know
use
how
the
to
map, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, cool.
Ugh.
We're just gonna hang out here and wait for you, or we can
Yeah.
come up and meet you.
Yeah, we can meet him.
Yeah, we can meet him because it's actually on the way for the other spider.
Speaking of like things that like freak us out, like this isn't. I mean, it's there's some movies that play to this, but one of the things that I actually have is thalassophobia. I used to think it was hydrophobia, but I'm not terrified of water. And for anyone who doesn't know what thalassophobia is, it is terrifying. It's like an absolute fear of massive underwater creatures,
like megalodons.
like megalodons or
The
like.
Kraken.
Well, no, because, well, I mean, I guess. The thing about thalassophobia is that it's just a fear of. Well, it is a fear of the things that we know that are there, but also, like, it's also the fear that we don't know everything that is underneath the water. And anytime you're out in that water, you are completely exposed to it and whatever it might be. And
Yep.
that freaks me the fuck out.
Do you think
Like-
there could be creatures like that in space? Could you imagine?
Oh, absolutely. I wouldn't be
Like-
surprised.
Like a leviathan that's like a planet-sized thing.
Oh
I
my
mean,
god!
fuck, I
Could you
wouldn't be
imagine?
surprised if we're actually living on one, for fuck's sake.
It's true.
Could you imagine like a giant squid out in space that can swallow a spaceship whole?
That sounds kind of like Cthulhu or some kind of H.P. Lovecraftian thing.
Yeah, I mean, that's what they do. They literally just drift through the cosmos and exist menacingly until something gets close, and then they are slightly more menacing until it's gone.
Yeah. Well, it's funny that like we all agree on psychological horror, and that's basically what H.P. Lovecraft was, but like psychological horror given form,
Yeah.
which is crazy to think about.
One of the big things about H.P. Lovecraft that made his horror the way it is he... I can't remember... I think he was largely homeschooled, and even still, the homeschooling that he received was minimal.
Mm-hmm.
And he grew up very xenophobic. So, in addition to being... Oh, there's a corrupt one. In addition to being largely uneducated, he was also very paranoid about a lot of things. So there was a lot of aspects that he just didn't understand. So, like, the concepts of impossible geometry actually stems from his fear of geometry itself. Like, combining numbers with shapes freaked him right the fuck out.
Oh man, so he's just like any normal person, go and take a college course.
Yeah, his descriptions of the city of Rayaleh, and talking about like, oh, the city was comprised of impossible geometry, that literally stems from him just not understanding how geometry worked.
Yeah.
But
which is
granted,
awesome.
It's still a terrifying picture. Continue, I'm sorry.
No, you're right. That's awesome. Like, to think of... So, like, whenever you read those stories of impossible geometry, it's crazy to think about, like, whenever they try to make an H.P. Lovecraft-inspired story into a film or a video game. And it's crazy to see, like, how other people envision impossible geometry. And I think, going back to the fear of the unknown, I think it kind of ruins it whenever they give an actual visual to what it looks like. I think that ruins it for me. I think, personally, Lovecraftian stories, for the most part, are best enjoyed as books. I think...
I agree.
It's cool whenever they do video... Like, Bloodborne. Bloodborne is very much... gothic horror mixed with H.P. Lovecraft. There's vampires and werewolves, but then halfway through the game it gets real crazy with like Ebrietas and like the Thing Reborn or the One Reborn and
the Thing Reborn.
The Thing Reborn.
I mean, that's still kind of a cool name if you think about it.
It is. That is still pretty scary to think about, but it gets really wild, and for me, I saw Bloodborne as just a gothic horror game because it came out around the same time as that shooter, the Order 1886 or something like that.
Yeah, 1862 or something like that. I know what you mean.
And that game was like Nikola Tesla, vampires, werewolves, like that kind of stuff, like the Bram Stoker stuff and all that jazz. And that's why I liked the idea of Bloodborne right away, and then it got into the Lovecraftian stuff, and I was like, whoa! And it made me love it even more because I didn't realize it went into the Lovecraft stuff later.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. One of the things I think the movie Bird Box did well, like, it's an okay movie. It's pretty decent. Like, I enjoyed it. I wouldn't say that it's like a grade A horror film, but I will say one of the things they did right is they never showed the creature on camera.
Yes.
And
110% agree with you.
like, because there's two things that does. Item number one is it could make it so you just have no idea what that creature is. Like, what it is left entirely up to your imagination, which is the appeal of like Lovecraftian horror. Like, the only things that it can really, the only visuals that you can truly have are the ones that you create on your own.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing that it could do is leave the possibility of the monster not even truly being there as an option. Like
it's one that we created ourselves.
no,
And may
not
not
even
even be a
that.
real thing.
Not even that. Like, using Bird Box as my talking point here. Like, you don't know if the insanity that's being caused is actually the monsters that people are like seeing, or if there's like a disease. It could be anything, and it doesn't elaborate enough into it for any actual conclusions to be drawn. Because, like, the only individual, some mild spoilers for the movie Bird Box. It was a massive fucking thing, especially in meme culture, like almost a year ago from the time of this recording. So if you haven't seen it, I highly recommend it. Pause this, watch it, and then come back. But there's a point in the movie where it's revealed that individuals that were already insane not only were unaffected by this, but rallied together behind it.
Yeah.
And there's even one point where one of these individuals has drawings of the things that he's seen, and all of them are wildly different from each other, and many of them do take cues from Lovecraft's work. But I mean, the fact that like it's only insane individuals that are unaffected, it also leaves room for like anyone who understands medical science means that those are individuals outside of a control group that are unaffected. Like, that's a common denominator. And there's plenty of diseases and viruses that work on the same principle, that individuals with certain qualities can go completely unaffected by it.
Yeah.
So just the realm... Horror is such a wonderful thing because it can be so many things, and it's all one common like thought, as it's just something that invokes a primal feeling in you. Like, sometimes you can't explain it, sometimes you don't have any rationale behind it, sometimes it's just there. And the genre of horror, you have so many avenues to explore that, and it's just so fucking crunchy and delicious. And I could eat horror for breakfast every single day, and I would be the happiest little slut in this side of the fucking universe. So
Yeah, I mean, I can't believe I haven't thought of it already, but I think one of my favorite psychological horror games is Silent Hill.
oh yeah.
Yeah. Like, not all of them, but did you ever play Homecoming?
Oh yeah.
No,
I did.
not Homecoming. That's the one I was thinking. Well, I mean,
Downpour?
that's a good one too. But no, which one is it? No, Origins. You ever play Origins?
Hey, look, we found our buddy over here.
That's not the one we were looking for, but that is one we can go show our blades to.
Mm-hmm.
You guys ready?
Oh, I am.
Nope.
Oh, it's after
Let's do
me.
it.
Oh, he's going for it.
Oh, I need to generate distance. It's gonna kill me. I'm squish.
But yeah, Silent Hill Origins was one of those that, like, whoa, just really awesome with the psychological stuff.
Oh yeah.
That gave me a nice itch for that.
Yeah.
One of the Silent Hills I never played that I wish I did play was oh man, now I can't think of it. I had it and then I just lost it. The Room, 4. The 4?
Oh god, it's good.
Yeah, everyone's
It's
like,
handled by a different production team, so it is different from the other ones, but it is very good.
yeah, everyone's that I ever talked to about, they're like, you should play it now. And
At the
I
very
wish I
least,
could.
watch a playthrough of it.
Yeah, I might look up a playthrough. Because all I've heard is just awesome things about it. I mean, I heard like critical reviews that weren't great about it, because I guess because it's so different than the other games. Which to me is whatever. That means nothing to me. Like critical reviews don't matter to me. It's like what does the community feel about it? Oops, that's my phone. I'm sorry, everyone. I thought I had it on vibrate.
Baby, you can turn it on vibrate for me any day.
Oh, but
all right, sorry about that.
Sorry, everybody. Go ahead and grab a napkin and come back when you can. Wow, we messed that up. That was awesome. How's everybody doing? Nobody died?
I'm great. No one died.
Yeah, there's Rungar.
My follower is just wandering off into the distance, firing arrows for no reason. David, come here. I got a key for you.
Hang on. Ah, thanks, Rungar. Yeah, Rungar. Where you at? Oh, there you are.
Shoot.
Cool. Yeah, like the critical reviews don't do anything for me when I look at video games. I rather like to see what the community thinks, what actual players think.
Fans.
Yeah, like actual fans. What do these people actually feel about it? That's what matters to me.
I will say, and I think that this would be better suited as a discussion for another video, but to touch on this slightly because it is important to the subject, I think sometimes fandoms can also ruin things on their own by that.
Oh, for sure. Oh, for sure. Like whenever there's things that are like, this brought something into the universe of this game, or brought something into the lore of the universe that we don't agree on, or we don't like it, so this series is dead to us now. Like people that can't accept change. Yeah, I can understand that too. That's what is it? That has a name, like toxic fandom or
Gatekeeping.
Gatekeeping, that's it. Where they're just like, no, you can't touch the lore. You can't add anything new to it.
I may be well versed in internet culture.
No, it's awesome. That's good. We need
it.
some kind of skill around here.
If there's anything I'm good at, it's
I need to
actually
head to
nothing. But I can pay attention to culture.
That's good.
So that's what I got.
I'm removed.
My sole skill.
I'm removed from social media. That's one of my newfound horrors.
Yeah, you're telling me.
Yeah,
What
Dan,
sucks?
you have to deal with fucking social media as part of your job.
Yeah,
I
that's what I
know.
was just about to
It's,
say.
Look, I hate it, but I love it at the same time too. You know, I love that it's so much easier to connect with people. You know, some of you may not have heard from in years, and it's great to just reconnect. But you know, you also have the freedom to promote everything easier nowadays. You don't have to have big connections. You could just do it for free. But yeah, it's just some of the toxicity on like some of the people sharing stuff and about what's going on in the media, in politics, and even just graphic stuff that you really just do not want to see. You know, like
Yeah.
that's where the horror really lies. It's all the shit you can
Well-
find on the internet that people just share with you on Facebook, and you're like, do I really want to see people beating up, you know, kittens and dogs and old
Well-
ladies? Do I really want to see that?
Hold on. There is something to be said about that. Like, again, maybe this will be better suited for a topic for another video, but to consider this, yeah, those things are horrendous and horrific to watch, but a lot of those things are things that are actually happening. And yeah, it sucks to see it, but it's also to better know that it exists so that way you can be better informed about why it's happening or what's going on.
I think
That's
what
true.
I think what Dan is trying to say is that he wished it wasn't so easy. It wasn't
Yeah.
so in your face about it. Because I feel like there's a good bit of sites, I won't name any, but I feel like there's a good bit of sites that, like, you're just scrolling down and it's like, shocking video of a Walmart shopper getting their face kicked in. It's like, wow, thanks, cool. I was just looking for paint job ideas, but alright.
Yeah, I mean, I've been on Facebook in class, and then I'll see pictures of like just dead dogs, and like, dude, come on, like don't share that. Like, I get it, it's terrible, but sometimes it's because people do it because they're bored. You know, they just did it because they found it funny, and they wanted to share it on fucking Facebook, and like, come on, guys, like that's just.
Or
I don't want to see
any
that.
other unnamed social media sites.
But for me, it's not like that stuff disturbs me. Like, I can look at a picture of a dead dog and not feel anything. That's because I'm just mostly dead inside. But it's more I'm thinking about other people. You know, I'm just like, really, guys, this shouldn't be out. Like, if I'm seeing this, chances are millions of people are looking at this right now. Because,
Oh yeah.
I mean, well, I'm not really on social media anymore. I've kind of taken a step back. Just wasn't really doing good stuff to me. But and not that reason, not like that stuff, other things. But like seeing that stuff, you know, just browsing random shit. Like I said, you know, like looking for different paint schemes for a drawing I'm working on, or looking for new bands, or I don't know, looking at
You're just trying
cosplayers or something, and then you see like really violent stuff. Like, and I am not trying to say we should censor all violence, but it shouldn't be as like in your face. There's some
mediums that it can be shared on.
Yeah, like if you're going on like a website, and I'm not saying like a deplorable website, but I mean if it's clearly like a more mature website, then that stuff can be willy-nilly. You know, like that can be everywhere. Because then it's like, well,
that's one thing.
Yeah, like you're over 18. Like you have to be at least you should be over 18 on this site. So seeing that stuff, it's like, okay. You don't really have to the gateway of being 18 already should be enough as a, hey, just so you know, shit gets real on this website. That should be enough of a warning. The fact that you would have to be an age.
Hopping on something horrible, like, yeah, of course, that's... If you go onto something horrible, you're expecting that kind of media, but whenever you're just like, man, I really just want to fucking message my bro today, and you go to log on to your preferred social media outlet, and all of a sudden there's just like a video of someone getting decapitated, like, alright, cool. Well, I'm glad I wasn't hungry in the first place.
Yeah.
Oh, you know, while we're talking about social media, if you're watching this, don't forget to like, comment. We'll upload new videos. Cool, thanks. All right, get back to the discussion.
Just slap that bell right up the ass.
Speaking of speaking of slapping bells on the ass, has Dan? I know you're typically the person who does this. Have you been keeping a record of the time?
Oh yeah.
Yes, we've been talking for 39 minutes.
Awesome, cool. I wasn't trying to figure out how much time we had left. I just thought of it, and a horror overcame my body. And I was like, oh no, how long have we been recording?
See, this is why we all have like assigned roles. For me, I'm the timekeeper because it's literally what I do.
Black Kappa.
Right? Well,
where?
Over here.
Oh snap!
Ooh.
X gonna give it to you.
Oh Jesus, we're gonna rip it apart.
Don't give it to you.
And it's done.
Wow. That was that, everyone. That was that. Let's go see if that other spider decided to show
I tell you what's really
back up.
scary. 6 people with deadly weapons just in the desert. It's still desert.
This is still desert.
In the desert, just coming at you.
Coming
Better
at
not
you.
fuck with us.
We did get a little sidetracked from the themes of horror, but that being said, like, horror can also invoke other discussions. Like, it, I don't know.
Well,
Just talking about the things that horror can invoke can also invoke other discussions, like what we just ended up fucking doing.
yeah. I mean,
But,
that's the awesome thing about horror is, you know, there's so many different variants of it that you can really, depending on who's really into it. Yeah, like depending who's really into it, you could really like learn a lot about somebody just talking. Just like, so what's your favorite horror movie? You know what I mean?
yeah. Oh, one of my friends had recently showed me a horror movie. Like, I don't normally watch movies. And not because I'm some posh snob, it's just I don't have the fucking attention span for it half the time and I get really bored. But we sat down and we watched the movie Hereditary.
Ah, is that good?
Oh my god, well, first of all, alright, well, little precursor here, I do have some post-traumatic stress disorder. And I will say that this movie actually tripped a couple of switches early on for that with me. Which, like, on a personal level, is like, Jesus Christ, this sucks. But that also kind of goes into how good of a horror movie this really is. Because it's fucked. Like, it's a fantastic movie, but everything in it is just completely fucked. And it's all bad all the time, and I love it. It goes from 0 to 50, and then it just keeps going from there. Once it hits its stride after the build-up, it is relentless. And if you're looking for a good movie, I 10 out of 10 would recommend Hereditary. Also, as a call-out, fuck you, Maddie, for making me watch that.
Yeah, that's one movie I really wanted to look into because I heard it was good. Just like Get Out. Haven't watched that
Get Out's
yet.
really good too. Yeah.
But
I love Get Out.
All I've heard is that the movie's good. Like, everyone I've ever talked to about that movie, or at least everyone that's ever mentioned that movie, only had good things to say about it.
Well, Jordan Peele was the director of that, correct?
That's correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, he has an extensive history in filmography as an actor, and an intelligent fucking human being. Like, he understands how a movie is supposed to get put together.
But the crazy thing is that he's more comedy.
Right, because he was with Key and Peele, and they were from Mad TV. But you notice you watch the show, and there's a lot of comedy, but some of the sketches can take a really dark turn. But it's done so brilliantly. You're like, this is so scary, but it's fucking hilarious.
Well, there was a podcast I listened to, and they brought up a really good point. They were talking about horror, and I think they brought up Get Out, but they were saying, you know,
Let me kill this spider again because I got a shit ton of XP from doing that.
you want to? You guys want to do this one again?
I leveled up twice.
I think we got time.
On this journey.
We're saying, you know, if you go a little too far with horror, it becomes comedy. So it's like there's like this weird line that you kind of have to be careful about. You know, that's why I like the scary movies. You know what I'm talking about.
Oh yeah, they're the titled scary movies.
Yeah. The scary movies, the series. I think that's what made those movies so successful. Is, you know, they parodied horror with comedy, but they did it really well for the most part.
Don't really understand.
Because of being so close to, because of that line of too much becomes a completely different genre.
Yeah, because the early ones, what they literally did is they took genuine horror and they literally they spiced it just a little too much.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you're making a fucking awesome gumbo, but you just added a little too much pepper. And they intentionally threw in like an extra fucking 5 or 6 tablespoons.
Yeah. It's like making a pizza with too much crust, and now you're eating stromboli.
I was worried about why. Yeah, I was worried about why one of our followers was just burying his fists at giant spiders.
Oh. Oh, giant spider's back.
Good. That's what I wanted, because I want that tasty, tasty experience.
Follower just leveled up.
I am sorry that I have taken like such a front seat in this discussion. I just really fucking love horror, and I love talking about it too.
No, it's completely fine. I mean, look, I'm sorry. I kind of took it to a dark place, a really deep place. I didn't think it was gonna go.
I mean,
But I did.
horror. You don't get darker than a genre revolving around the darker aspects of things.
Right. And what's more scary than the stuff that can happen in real life?
Nothing.
Exactly. But I do love, horror for that idea that you can actually use your imagination to create new monsters, the new stuff that can invoke both fear and fascination to people. And that's, even though it's not my favorite genre, it's something I can really appreciate. That's why, horror movies still stuck around, because that's that primal fear that we're all attracted to and we're all fascinated by. So, anything to evoke that primal fear, it's like, hey, go for it.
Well, what's weird about humans is that we
Is this
love
spider upside down?
It kind of looks that way, doesn't it?
He's upside down everywhere, fucking where.
The crazy thing about humans is that we like to be scared. We love to feel terrified. So we love haunted houses. That's why, Halloween's the best holiday ever. Yeah, roller coasters.
We like fear in a controlled environment.
Yeah, you like being scared, but knowing that that there is an exit. There is a back door.
Yeah.
I could turn this off, or I know this ride is going to be over. What's that?
Can someone light a torch?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Oh, cool. The chest came back.
Cool.
Here's a skeleton key.
There we go. My torch broke.
Yeah, so did mine.
I got the same... Oh, no, it's a different mace. Interesting. Okay. Yeah, that's what I like about horror, is that it's such a good conversating topic. Even if horror isn't really your... Excuse me, I got a stuffy nose. Even if horror isn't your
cup of tea.
Yeah, even if it isn't your cup of tea, you can still talk about it pretty well. You could still relate to being afraid, because even if you don't like horror, you have been terrified of something. You have been scared. You do have a fear. Maybe you don't have a phobia.
Even the discussion of why you don't like horror.
Yeah. Talking about why, you're not really into it, or you wish that they would do these things. I mean, I'm sure there's probably a good bit of horror movies and or books or games that kind of came from those kind of conversations. I don't really like it because they don't do this kind of thing. And it's oh, that is a good idea. We should do that. We could head back to base now.
Sounds good.
That's one thing I like about horror a lot. And I could talk about that forever. Scary stuff exclusively. One thing I hope we get to talk about in a later episode is cryptids. Bigfoot, El Chupacabra, Slenderman.
The Jersey Devil.
The Jersey Devil. A whole bunch of different crazy, creepy things. Urban legends and stuff like that. Um, that stuff's fun to talk about, even though it's more than likely none of them are real. But the fact that, but what if, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Um,
that's definitely something for a future episode, and we got to wrap up here. But Scarlet, do you have any closing thoughts about horror?
I think the biggest takeaway from horror is that it's an interesting topic. I think it's fucking sexy. I love horror. That was incredible to watch, David.
you're welcome.
You fucking EI strike a man in half. I think
It's
the
scary
biggest
how
thing,
effective that was.
like horror.
Mr. Lemons, hello.
I don't know. I think one of the worst things you can do to horror is also overthink it. So
Yeah.
I'm just going to leave my closing thoughts as horror is sexy to me. I like that blood. I like those monsters. Give me more. And anything else, if you like it, sweet. If not, also sweet, but you also have no taste.
Damn.
It's a sweet one.
That's cool.
Fuck you. My opinion's more valid than yours. There's not much else to say about horror for me. I rambled on enough this episode.
Alright. Well, I think we can call this an episode.
Yeah.
It's been lovely spending time with you guys.
Hell yeah, this has been an awesome discussion. Hope everybody at home or in the car or in the bathroom in space enjoyed. Stay tuned for next week, where we got another topic for you. It'll be a surprise. So, hit the like button, subscribe, turn on notifications. We release a new episode every Wednesday, and we look forward to hearing from you guys next week. So, goodbye!
Bye.